right, guys. So we have our first book that returned from CGC, and that was sent in by Don Carter. So the book, as you can see, guys, is a Batman 130 from March of 1960, right? DC Comics. It says page quality, off-white, grade is 3.0, and the label category they gave it is restored, right? The label text had on it, restoration includes pieces added, tear seals, reinforced, cleaned, right? Art comments, Bill Finger story, Dick Sprang and Charles Paris art, Sheldon Moldoff cover and art. And then key comments says Lex Luthor appearance, full page of ad of The Brave and the Bold number 28, right? And then Grader's notes, it says multiple crease cover, multiple stain cover. This is it. And the fact that they have called it restored initiated me to get in touch with Don to see if he is willing for me to share the book with you guys and talk a little bit about why it received a restored grade. Was it nanocellulose? Was it the tear seal with nanocellulose? Or was it other things, right? So what I did is I got in touch with Phil and Dr. Paul and Larry and Shelby, and they were gracious enough to give me their opinion on this, and there are some main theories that they discussed in their thread with me for why the book received a restored rather than conserved label, right? So let me go over them. There are essentially 5 points here altogether. The first one was that the tear seal without the Tengujo tissue, as I had suspected, is the most widely agreed on factor, right? Is that if you are using an adhesive to do tear seals, use Tengujo with it for the time being. Even if it holds without the Tengujo, it's no excuse not to use Tengujo as an extra security, and that is was seen as the likely trigger for the purple label, right? Because Tengujo is nearly invisible when done well, as Dr. Paul says, and is what CGC typically expects for conservation work, right? The second thing that could have triggered restoration rather than conservation is the piece fill leaf casting being misidentified, right? So both Paul and Phil suggested that CGC's graders likely didn't recognize the leaf casting and instead categorized it as traditional piece fill, which CGC now considers restoration regardless of quality. And speaking of quality, look at the grade he got, right? Don got A4, right? The A4 level designation is to say quality work was done here, right? And then the cover cleaning is the third aspect of this, which was Larry essentially raised that the line between conserved and restored for cover cleaning is unclear and subjective, right? So, and then Shelby actually added that Silver Age books show cleaning more than Golden Age books, and that cover cleaning can affect texture, and this can then lead graders to assess it based on touch and sight as restored. Then the fourth aspect of this is that you're maybe dealing perhaps as inexperienced graders. They don't know what they're looking at, essentially, right? It's a lower tier book. It doesn't go to top graders who evaluate books that are $1,000 or more, and it is likely got misidentified, and that more experienced graders typically handling higher value submissions will identify these as legit conservation practices. Number 5 is that inclusion of documentation, which Don did, and this is submitting notes about the CNF and adhesive mixture may have actually drawn attention to the work, and this potentially flagged it for scrutiny and might not otherwise have received. So all of these 5 points, right? The tear seal without tengucho, the piece fill or leaf casting being misidentified, and then you have the cover cleaning and graders who aren't used to conservation, judging conservation as restoration. And 5, the 5th point is the inclusion of documentation on the work, and that potentially flagged the book for further scrutiny and therefore restoration. So that's where we're at, guys, right now with this. I would say if you are to use the adhesive mix, right, nanocellulose to methyl cellulose to water at 1:1:1, use it in conjunction with tengujo paper, or don't use it at all. Don't use nanocellulose at all. Just use regular, good old-fashioned methyl cellulose. You can use it at 2.5% or 3% or 3.5%, and then use it in conjunction with tengujo tissue. That's my opinion for this for now. So plenty of warning, and the notes you are going to include, just be assured that they read them, okay? And they are likely to be tough on you if there is a lot of work done on the book, right? It seems like the more work you do on the book, the more likely they're going to flag it as restored rather than conserved. So that brings me back to the idea of minimal conservation. Minimal, right? Minimal intervention is the key here. And I think sometimes we can go overboard with things, and that can damage the grade at the end. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and see you soon.